Okay, welcome. It's good to have you guys back on Friday. Last week we ended up having such a good discussion, and just like every time, we start out just kind of chatting and catching up, and then we figure out where we're going to go and what we're going to talk about. So it'll be interesting today to find out where that is. And in the summertime, as we progress through summer, we'll have more ladies some Fridays and very few on others. So we'll see what happens today. But in the meantime, we can catch up and maybe just talk about what we've been doing or what our plans are or questions we might have. Anything goes. Oh, we froze. There we go. Now we're catching up. Okay, so any thoughts, any things? It's in the summertime. Do you take the time to catch up and do some reading that you didn't have time to do during the summer, or what kinds of things do you do?
I'm actually going to start to Catch the Vision again, just because life has been so chaotic for us that I'm like, I just need to recenter.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was just what I should be doing. So I'm actually getting ready to start that and just take this, because August is when we start school back up. And we really didn't do a lot of schooling last year just because we were kind of all over the place. We were in Maine, then we were home, and then we ended up moving cross country again. And so our kids learned a lot about life. So that was, I've seen them grow a lot just from that. And that, to me, that's just proof. But the Catch the Vision has been on my heart. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like it's just a good way to recenter and just get your mind ready to start new. And I just like this. I like the thought of living in seasons, not just going, okay, what am I doing today? I just like going, okay, it's summer. What is this season for? So that's just where my heart's been.
I love that that's where you're going to get that back. I love that. I just started 3 months ago, and a meeting with a few friends, just discussing, each section just 1 month at a time. And that's been so good too, because it's given me a lot of time to watch and then being able to recap and hear other people's ideas and thoughts about it. I think that's another really good way to do it. Go through Catch the Vision with a friend so that you can be talking back and forth about it. Going through for yourself is wonderful too. There's just so much, but I'm thinking I need to sort of notebook the next time I go through and write down those things that I forget, and I forget where they are and where I can go to look them up. And I think if I wrote about it, perhaps I would remember a little bit better. I don't know. Here comes Ida.
And I have two different in-person Mother of Influence groups here. So it's been fun. I haven't actually made it to one physically, but it's been nice knowing there's other moms that are physically around me doing it, because in Tennessee, I didn't have people physically around me at all.
Right. Well, and now with Bellam at Home starting up, that'll be a whole other level of connection. And within that community, one of the big offerings is the ability to connect with groups and have groups online or finding groups in your area and then connecting with them on some type of a regular basis for your whole family. So I think that's exciting. That works well for a lot of families. Not everybody. Some people don't need that extra connection, but for some it's so good. And there'll be weekly prompts and activities that are kind of suggested that you can do with other families. So I think that'll be fun. So it's kind of nice to know you've already got families close by that may be involved in that. So that's good. I'm glad you have that support. I think that's wonderful. because there are a lot of areas where moms don't have other mothers anywhere close to them physically that are doing Well-Educated Heart. And that, I know for Lindsay in the beginning, that was so hard. She tried, Lindsay Bunting tried so hard to connect and find other mothers. But it's that warm heart issue, if those hearts are a little bit cold or hard or whatever, it just is hard to introduce that. Initially, it takes a little while for other moms to jump on board. Hi, Ida. I'm glad you're here. Are you out and about? I know often on Fridays, Ida and her kids are out in nature having experiences. So sometimes she's just listening in, but it's good to have you here. Okay. I've been not only back in Catch the Vision, but also in Mothers University. And that has been really rewarding. I am trying to mostly be in these two books. These are kind of the bookends, right? This is the first one, and this is the last one. And they're that way for a reason. They're both so incredibly important throughout the whole journey. And so it's good to stay in these books and remember what's there. So that's been really helpful for me too. And I just pick them up and just kind of thumb through them and find something that stands out to me for that day. And that's been helpful. The sad thing is every once in a while I'll send a little quote or something to somebody and they'll ask me, I don't know, a couple days later where it came from. I have no idea. I don't remember where I was that day. So I guess I need to do a better job about writing down where it came from. But anyway, how about you? What have you been reading? Where have you been? Everybody's quiet today.
I have been reading. Okay, you go first, Mary.
Okay, I was going to share. I've read through the Palmer Method handwriting or penmanship book that's on the language arts thing because I want to teach my children cursive. And so I haven't started teaching the lessons yet, but the first 3 lessons is just on how to sit at the desk and where your arms are at. And the most fascinating thing I learned is that he says when you write to you use your whole arm instead of just your wrist. So and you don't rest your wrist on the piece of paper. I'm trying to show you here. You just rest your arm, but then your wrist is up in the air like this, and you just have these 2 fingers resting. And then using your whole arm and stuff, so you don't get writer's cramp. So I'm trying to write like that. It's still tricky because I was writing in my journal this morning, but I was sitting on the couch, not an ideal place for proper writing form, but it was interesting. So I'm excited to teach that to my children. I think they would, hopefully they will enjoy it. It's not like their handwriting isn't bad. They're just 8 and 6. So I haven't really, my daughter really wants to learn cursive, and I think my son hopefully does. But I'm just excited to start doing those lessons.
Oh, your children are so lucky, Mary, because you have such enthusiasm for the subjects that you tackle. And I love that. I think that's so great. That is half the battle, I think, is for mom to be excited about whatever it is that you're teaching. So I love it. Okay, Lindsay, where were you going?
Oh, I was just going to share that I've been reading The Harvester by Jane Stratton Porter, and it's gotten me all excited again, like I did with Freckles. And I'm like, oh, I have that feeling. It just makes me love Jane Stratton Porter so much that she can do that for us.
Good. I'm excited because I haven't had anybody else who has read it for me to be able to talk to about it. So that's awesome. What do you like about
two
it?
different. Well, I love that there's kind of these 2. Can you hear me okay? I'm in my laundry room and it's okay. Okay, I know I don't get very good reception back here, but I just love that there's the love story part of it, which is so funny right now. Just the way that they come together and the way they get married. It's just, anyway, I can't spoil it for you, but it's so funny. And then just this and then the nature part of it, that she is able to get you excited about all these different plants and birds and things in nature just by the characters being so excited about it. And I love that the harvester has found somebody who is just as excited about it as he is. And so I'm about halfway through, so we'll have to talk again when I get to the end.
Yeah, I
I'm
love
so
it.
curious.
I think it's so funny that you know, she had to, her publishers would not let her just write naturalist books. That's what she wanted to do. She wanted to share all that knowledge that she had, and they, no, you have to make a story. You have to have a story that will sell. It's got to be a novel. And so she would kind of grudgingly write this love story kind of a situation, and so that she could tell all of the things she wanted to tell about the, you know, the areas that she was talking about. And in this one, that's the part that I love, is the I mean, that's fine. The story's fine, but it's the getting out and talking about gathering all of these different plants and herbs and seeds and what he did with them. And because I have an interest in that now in my personal life, trying to find natural remedies and solutions to things and be more aware of our world and what is growing here and what probably God intended for us to use. And it made me, I mean, I was just really, really interested. And he has, I can't remember how many acres of land that he's going out and planting and gathering. Do you remember, Lindsay? It was incredible.
Like 600 or something.
600 acres. I have like 2/3 of an acre. You know, it's just, how do you get to have that much land that's yours and you're out there, you know, figuring out, what do I do here? What's my calling? What am I going to do? How do I learn about this? And what are my responsibilities here? And how can I be a wise steward? And I think that's probably another reason I love that book, is that is a very important subject to me, that responsibility of being a steward of whatever you're blessed with. And so I'm just so impressed with the job he did of being a wise, responsible steward of the things that he was given. So I don't know. Has that been on your mind at all? That kind of was on my mind so much when I was raising my children, this idea of my stewardship responsibility for these children. And what was I doing, and trying to see the good that I was doing and trying to figure out what do you want me to do? It made things, it kind of let the guilt go away, and it made things a little more clear for me as I moved ahead. It kind of simplified things. A lot of the extra stuff got out of the way. Does that make sense? He's a little tiny head nodding. It's like, maybe, maybe I know what you're talking about. Maybe you're just crazy and we're just being nice. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, what's on your mind?
I can share again. So I think that you might have a copy of this book thing, and I found out about him from the Mothers of Influence group here that I was able to join in April, or find out about, and went to meetings in April and May, and then they're going to take a break for June and July. I was like, oh man, I like going there. And so I've read through this one. It's called A Meeting with the Principal, and it's by Ali Cannon Eisenach, but she doesn't publishing them anymore. But if you get on, so when I went and picked up these books, because someone in our group got the PDFs, or I guess it's JPEGs, and then she had a website called Blurb Printum. I'm like, is that okay? I didn't know if that was, you know, and I guess it is, because she said if you join their Facebook group, then you can get access to just I thought it was a PDF. I was like, great, I can put it on my Kindle, but it's just images and they're huge, so they won't transfer. But I did get the printed copies, and it's just, I've downloaded all the others to my Google Drive, so I, you know, maybe can have access to them when I don't have the physical copies. But I was so fascinated with how much, I guess, the focus of education and what it is now compared to what it was, you know, 200 years ago or 100 years ago. In here, I think it's in this one, she has a comparison of Hebrew versus Greek learning. You can see that at all. But I was just fascinated as I read through, Hebrew focused on loyalty to God, family, and country versus Greek, which is loyalty to the state. And the core teachings in Hebrew was Bible and Holy Scriptures. Greek was the core teachings as writing of philosophers. And so I know after reading this and some other things I've watched over the last couple of weeks, I'm like, I just want to use the scriptures to teach from and, just focus on that for right now. And, and then have the other stuff come as things come up to teach about it. Like my daughter this week, she wanted to learn how to do Sudoku puzzles. I'm like, that's great. That's math. That's figuring things out. And so I taught her how to do them. And I found a book that actually had easy ones. I had a book that said easy, but they were hard for me. And I've been doing them for years. So I'm like, let's find another book. And so, yeah, we've been feeling excited to just teach from the scriptures and, find, because there's so much in the Bible that I'm like, how did I miss all this stuff? Because I missed a whole bunch of stuff in the Bible just to teach things. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, I love that. I love that you found that. And are you looking at the messages in the chat? Lindsay Watkins said, I found the audio on SoundCloud. So yeah.
Oh yes, I heard there was one. I ended up reading the whole book. I just barely found out about the SoundCloud thing. I've actually never used SoundCloud, so I haven't really looked into that one.
Yeah, but it's nice to know it's out there and people are finding it. If you're curious to know more about it, there's a Facebook group called Millennial
Instructor, I think.
Yeah, the Millennial Instructor Community. Yeah. And so you just go there and join, request to join, and I can let you in, or any of the other people that are on there can let you in, and then you can access those downloads. So, and they're wonderful. Lindsay, I think, first introduced me to it, Lindsay Bunting, through the other printed books. Lindsay, you have all of the other books.
I have the other three as well, the O.B. Wise, Build Upon My Rock, and then the one about the olive tree. They're just upstairs.
Yeah, I have those three, but I haven't read or listened to the meeting with the principal yet. And so now you guys have me wanting to go look through that one. I'm really curious. And I just wanted to comment too on your learning through the scriptures. I feel like that's where our family has gotten the most learning from, because I just made it a point at the beginning of this whole parenting homeschool journey. I was like, okay, if we just do family scripture study every day, make that our we just have to get that done. Anything on top of that is a bonus.
Yeah.
But as long as we get that done, then I feel like it was a success for the day. And I would say 95% of our days, that's all we get done. And the rest is all just organic, whatever we learn throughout our day. And I'm surprised at how much my kids have learned. I think that's where they learn to read. They just learn good vocabulary and what things should sound like. And I don't know, I think there's a lot to that. I think the Spirit helps as we use that as our number one tool, helps guide the rest of our stuff.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about that? Using the scriptures for learning, or having that foundation of scripture learning in your day? Does that make a difference? Do you feel like it makes a difference?
I didn't realize I was still on mute, but since I am, I'll talk. So I was watching another interview that Tresta Nill did on that conference she did back about 5 years ago. And the lady called it the kangaroo principle. I was like, that's interesting. That was the title of the whole thing. So I listened to it, and she just gave the example of, were there kangaroos in Asia? And we're like, no, there weren't kangaroos in Asia, but were there? And she said, well, if Noah put all the animals in the ark, and if it landed in a place, on a mountaintop in Asia, were there kangaroos in Asia? And they're like, oh, maybe there were. I don't know why they're all in Australia now and not anywhere else, but so she calls it the kangaroo principle. So she was just focusing on starting with God, and then instead of trying to use, she gave a cool definition of what science was. Like, science is man trying to search for what God already knows, or something like that. And I probably botched it, but just how she says, start with God, and then don't have to try to make sense of all the philosophies of men that are out there, or
I
that
like
try to
that.
discredit God or whatever.
Right, right. But
Yeah.
start from him.
She talked a lot about, the similar principle in the math workshop she just did. And I love that, how like any math concept we teach it the way like God intended it to like be understood. Like, how did he give us addition? Like, I can't explain it the way she did, but I like that it started at that basic level of like, how do we explain this like the way God gave it to us, and then expound from there. But anyway, it was good. You'll have to just go watch it because I can't explain the way she did it.
Yeah, that's one I didn't see. I want to go back and watch it. Yeah, Ida.
I loved what you shared, Mary. Like, my two of my younger boys just got their patriarchal blessings, and it was really cool. But it was interesting because like when I read my patriarchal blessing, I was like, wow, this is really big. It isn't, but it seems like it. But hearing their blessings, it was so interesting. One of the takeaways that I had was the patriarch said to my sons, both of them in different ways, but speaking educationally, that they were being prepared for the things, like educationally, they're being prepared for what they would need to be doing. And I was like, I don't know if that was for them, but that was so great for my heart to be like, okay, it's good. So
Yeah. It relieves a little bit of the stress. Yeah. Oh, but that foundation, really, truly, I feel the same way, that you set up that foundation of the scripture study, kind of a gospel foundation, and everything else is just icing on the top. It really is that. And if you're missing that foundation and you're spending your time worrying about all the other things, I think, I don't know, this is sort of how I see it. I think if you're harried about, reading, writing, or arithmetic, let's just say that, and you're teaching those things, your kids might remember some of that stuff. They'll catch a little bit here and there, the things that they like, the things that, I don't know, just make sense in their brains. But most of it's just going to fall, and it's just going to fall through these cracks and just go wherever that goes. But if you've created a foundation, then the things that you give them in addition to that, they have a place where they can file it, a place where they can put it. Does that make sense? And so then it stays with them. And even if they just take the thing that you give them and they look at it and decide, I don't really care about this one, and they discard it. But if they decide they want to keep it, they have a place to put it. And I feel like as I look back on our experience, I feel like that's what it was there was a something there, this foundation on the bottom. And so they had a place to keep the treasures that they found. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but I really feel like sacrificing some time or making spiritual things a priority. We were blessed in so many ways, that being just one of them. And I think another huge blessing from that was the blessing of discernment and being able to say, oh, I don't think that's right. This professor is talking about that doesn't mix with everything else that I know, these things that I have learned and put in here. That doesn't make sense. Let's look at that a little bit more. And it gave them that maybe permission to question, and examine and look a little bit more, or a confirmation when it was truth. Anyway, it has been very interesting to watch my children as they progress through older young adult life and see them navigate things. And I feel like every time I am praying and grateful for that blessing, I feel this looking back and seeing that it was the foundation. It was the foundation. So I think that is not a little thing to kind of set aside. That's a thing to look at and say, oh, am I doing that? I need to do that. I need to put that in place. If you're not. Hey, Michelle, welcome. You get a little hand. Hi.
I needed to give a shout out because my friend Alyssa jumped on.
Oh,
So
good.
I said, come join our group. And she's like, okay. So she's here. So she has little ones, so she might be not jumping on the camera. I don't know.
Totally understand that. Welcome, Alyssa. We're very happy to have you here. I'm glad you did that, Ida, because I was just gonna see if our new friend Alyssa wanted to introduce herself. Hi. Hi, everybody.
Thank you.
Hello, hello.
Little
It's
kid.
nice to see our little friends.
I'll keep myself muted so we're not distracting.
No worries. No worries at all. Many of us do that just to keep background noise out, but you don't have to do that. And we love when you're on camera. We understand when you can't be. So it's all good. Okay, so who's Michelle with in her picture? Anybody know anything about Michelle's picture? That's just too interesting not to mention. Michelle, you're so fun.
That's one of my sheets.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you know which one?
Yeah, her name is Bo.
Oh, okay. Cute. That's so cute. I love it. Well, welcome. It's nice to have you back. We miss you when you're gone.
Thank you.
All right. So what else? Where are we going? We talked about foundations, having a nice foundation as we're teaching our children, not worrying too much about some of the other stuff that doesn't matter as much. Melanie. Just barely. It's super quiet. Yep, you got to put your fancy headset on.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I just was going to add in, it's been interesting to see the process of learning to read be different for my kids. My oldest two, I went through a program very methodically, and I think that they needed that. One of them's dyslexic, and they're boys. I don't know, they just really, really needed to see exactly how the language works. But my daughters have I started and I taught them all the letter sounds and sounding out a word, but once they got to that point, they just have kind of poofed off on their own and just kind of figured out reading for the most part by themselves. But for my youngest, who's 6, a lot of that came from reading the scriptures together. And at first, our whole family would take turns reading verses, and when it was her turn, we'd just say a phrase and she'd repeat it back so that she'd still get her turn. But then she started being able to sound out and and like the small words, sorry. And so she'd say those ones that she could read, and then I'd talk her through the rest of it. But because she was following along to find those ands, she was able to see other ones and start seeing words that came up commonly, like Lord, that were still easy enough that she could pick out. And then bigger words that come up over and over, which actually it's pretty amazing how repetitive the word bank is in the scriptures. And she's just, I feel like I don't know, I can see, because I went through methodically with my boys, some spots where I'd like to go back and kind of explain a couple of things, like, silent E, she doesn't fully get that. But there are words way beyond her years, I feel like, that she just kind of figures out. And I think a lot of it is because of that time in the scriptures. So it's been really interesting to see that growth take place differently for her. Even though we read scriptures with the boys, they didn't go through the same process of trying to follow along and read at the same way.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that. We had similar experiences through using the scriptures for teaching ours to read. It was amazing what they could pick up. So when I hear adults talk about you know, well, they don't read the scriptures because the language is too hard. I think, if a 4 and 5-year-old can learn to read through reading scriptural language, then you can do it. Just have a little patience with yourself and get back in there and try. But yeah, it's pretty amazing how they learn. Okay, Lindsay, share that. Share that.
My 10-year-old, he still struggles quite a bit with reading and he doesn't really like to do it. And so I don't push it really a whole lot. He's, you know, got other things he likes to do. But the only time he likes to read is when we take turns reading scriptures. So especially if other people are here, which I find so interesting. So if we have grandma and grandpa here or the missionaries here, then he's like, I want to do it, you know. And so that's the only time he really reads, you know, willingly with the scriptures, and it's helped so much. I mean, I see like where he could read almost like a whole like couple verses on his own now, which is incredible for him. So
yeah, I think they get a little extra help when they're in there.
Totally.
Yeah. A long time ago, I had a friend tell me that that's how to teach your children to read, is have them be in the scriptures. And I thought, okay, I don't understand that, but I'm willing to try it because you did it with her kids. And now I'm firmly on board with that. Yep. I watched it work and it was pretty incredible. So yeah. Anyway, so that's fun. Thanks for sharing, Melanie and Lindsay. I'm trying so hard to let this just be whatever it is. So it's like somebody's got something on their mind. And many times it's Lindsay Bunting too, and she just is waiting for everybody else to talk. So we'll go Melanie and then Lindsay.
I'll just add that it's interesting that in contrast, educators and parents are leaning the opposite direction of feeling like they have to go to dumbed down books and, you know, comics, and not that those are necessarily all bad, but you know, we don't have to dumb it down in order for them to get it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, in fact, one of my other favorite books to use for learning to read are the Beatrix Potter stories. And the reason being that they have wonderfully rich vocabulary and a lot of big words. And I found that my children loved to learn the big words, and we would teach the big words first and show those, kind of highlight those, and then read the stories. And they of course could pick out those words. You know, that was super fun to be able to, and then we could pause and let them fill in the big words. Well, that gave them confidence as they moved forward, you know. And I think that's to me, it seems like a better and much more fun way than going with the dumbed down version. So yeah, thanks, Melanie. All right, Lindsay Bunting and Ruby.
Sorry, Lindsay Watkins and Ruby were talking back and forth. I had to put Ruby's comment. But, I just keep thinking back to beginning. I don't even know if we were recording yet, and Lindsay Watkins just saying that there's like a season to everything. And I always feel that, and especially with summer, I don't know, with summer feels so different than the other seasons because those kind of just all go together. And then there's this big chunk of time where I feel like everybody kind of takes a break or reevaluates or changes things up. And so I just keep thinking of the changing seasons. But I feel like summer for me is just this like mom time to like reevaluate. And like we were talking about at the beginning, like going through the Catch the Vision again. And I've always had, even before I found Well-Educated Heart, I always had their like books that I would just reread in the summertime to like, okay, recenter. Like, so mom is centered, knows what she's doing. And then, you know, then you can kind of start back into the fall and get that momentum going like on the right track. But so I just feel like summer right now just feels like a good time to just make sure everybody's good. You know, we still need to take care of all the other things around us and keep home, you know, like all of that needs to keep happening, but then to just figure out what's most important and prioritize and catch the vision again for our homes in all the different ways that we can. So that's what I'm thinking about.
I like that. I love that idea of having time to catch up, time to fill your cup, time to whatever it is, but recenter yourself as mother. I think that's so good. It's so good when you can figure out how to get that into your always routine, but at least being able to know that summer gives you that time. Do you know we're only a week away from the longest day of the year? How is that even possible? We're in 2023 already, which just is mind blowing in itself. But to already be almost to that midway part, it's all right. Just means Christmas is around the corner, which is fabulous. I love that. So I don't have a problem with that. But holy cow, it's just going so fast. Well, we have a little kitty cat that has adopted our yard, and we have cat allergies in our home. And so we cannot have a kitty cat around our house. But this little cat is a tabby cat, and she's small, real small, big, tall, long ears and big paws for how tiny she is. She's just the sweetest thing. But it's interesting to me that she's hanging out around us. We're not cat people. We just never have been because of the allergies, right? So I'm not allergic, so I feel bad because I would pet her and try to help her feel comfortable and happy and whatever. But if I do, then I've got to strip down at the door before I come into the house again. It's just too much work. But it's been interesting that she comes to be where we are. And I wonder about that. I wonder about, I don't know, does she just feel something a little bit more calming, a little kindness or something? I don't know, but it's just interesting to watch her come and just hang out and be where we are. We've been working in the garden a ton. So she just comes and stays there, but then she's right outside the door when you go inside or outside. So if anybody knows anyone who wants a very sweet little kitten, not kitten, she's a cat, she's just a small little cat, let me know. She's sweet as can be. But do you think they know? Do you think they notice, and like to be around people who are, I don't know. Anyway, just been interesting to watch. Yeah, Lindsay Watkins.
I think it's just personalities and stuff, because our ducks used to do the same thing. They had an acre and a half to roam in Tennessee. And if we were outside, they were right at our feet. And they would follow us around. But our kids kind of do the same thing. If you were just a calm, go with the flow person, they always end up in the same room with you. I had to shut the door just to keep them out, because they're, Mom, what are you doing? They always just gravitate no matter where you are. And it's just an instinct, I think we have that strong imprinting for animals, and I'm allergic to cats too, so good luck with that. But I love that feeling that they do gravitate toward us. They want to spend time with us. I would feel so bad if my kids were like, I don't ever want to be in the same room as you, so it gives me joy.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I love that. I love that idea that people, if you are giving off positive, pleasant vibes, then people want to be around you. And I think that is important to remember that. Yeah, Melanie, that's funny. Melanie said, I guess I shouldn't be annoyed by that. Remind myself that it means that they're attached, imprinted to me. Yeah, I know. There are some days where you're just like, I just need a little bit of a buffer right here, just for a minute. And then I want y'all back, but just for a minute. So yeah, that's why we have bathrooms. Lindsay Watkins. There are days when I hide with chocolate and Dr. Pepper. That's so funny. Yeah, but it's with husbands too, which is just so sweet. When he's home and I'm around, he's where I am. He just comes and hangs out where I hang out. So I love that. I just think it's really sweet. Well, there are days when he doesn't, but I know why. Like I wouldn't hang around me either. So that makes sense. Looks nice behind you, Michelle. Michelle's up in the mountains from where we are, so it's a little cooler where she is, and they have wind also. Is it nice today?
Yeah, it's been really nice. I mean, I think everywhere the summer's been pretty mild, but yeah, it's nice. And then the wind, it starts to pick up now about this time of day, but it starts to get pretty windy and sometimes kind of annoying, but that's okay.
At least it's not just dead, still hot.
Yeah.
I'm guessing there might be a little bit of that going on in Texas, just from Ida's response to your saying how nice it was.
Well, I was going to say, when you going back to what all of you were talking about, reading the scriptures together with your family, and taking turns. So my youngest daughter is also dyslexic. She is profoundly dyslexic, and she is 13 and still learning to read. So I loved all the things that you mentioned, like reading the scriptures together and then reading Beatrix Potter books together. So we're going to do that. I'm going to focus on that this summer.
Good, good, good. I hope that you enjoy that. I hope she enjoys that. Beatrix Potter books are lovely. Just the imaginative stories, having the animals be the main characters and having them be talking and having lives and everything. Those are so fun. Other ones along those lines are, people remind me, Uncle Wiggily stories. Are you familiar with Uncle Wiggily stories? Those are sweet. Those are fun. All animal characters. They're old stories. Also, what else? Remind me what else? Well, All Creatures. What is it? All Creatures Great and Small. The different, what's his name?
James Herriot.
Yeah.
James we really like the Thornton Burgess books too.
Yeah.
We love
Thank
those.
you. Those are also wonderful books. And those are ones you can look for in thrift stores and library book sales. They're the ones they get rid of. The best books are the ones that are on those tables.
Lindsay, which one did you say?
Thornton Burgess. I'll put it in the comments.
There's a lot of different
and he
books
does
by him.
nature. Yeah. I think I spelled it right. I'm not sure.
Thornton?
Let me. Oh, I missed an N in there. Thornton. Yeah, it is in the Forgotten Classics too. There's some.
Okay.
Brambly Hedge. I don't have those.
Old ones.
Oh, she's got one.
Yeah.
I just.
Well, yeah, let's see.
I just got the Brambly Hedge collection of stories.
Can you show me the
That's
front
so
cover?
cute.
Ida, can you show me the front cover? Okay. I'm more of a visual person, so if I see it and then hear the name, then I'll remember it.
And if Audrey likes movies, the movie Miss Potter about Beatrix Potter's life is a fun little movie to watch.
Perfect.
And it has a little bit of animation in it, just as she is talking to her characters, on the paper, and they are, they animate them just a little bit to show how real they are to her. And it's very sweet.
That's awesome.
Also, A.A. Milne, the Winnie the Pooh stories. Those are wonderful, and they're so clever. What else? What else? There was something else that came to my mind, and now it is gone. Miss Piggly Wiggly. Do you guys know Miss Piggle Wiggle? Sorry, Piggly Wiggly's a grocery store down in the South. Mrs. Piggle Wiggle. Is that what it is? Mrs. Piggle Wiggle. I think there are four volumes.
I see
we
Melanie.
listened to them on Audible.
Mrs.
Piggle Wiggle.
Something like that. They're so funny. And those are good ones on Audible too.
Oh, perfect. This is Piggle Wiggle.
Uh-huh. So Beatrix Potter, I know it's loud when I type. What else did I say? James Herriot. Whenever there are stories with animals, that's just something that children really love. There, Uncle Wiggly storybook. Thank you. Wiggly. Yeah, those are
This
all
Uncle
good.
Wiggly, this is Uncle
Oh.
Wiggly's storybook. Is actually, this is one with where he does interact with, like, kind of interact with children. He helps children solve problems, but he's like, they don't really notice it. But the first, let's see, in the Story Hour series, in the which book it was, but there was the first 3 stories of Uncle Wiggly. So, and they were from the first book of Uncle Wiggly's Adventures. So I read the first 3 from the Story Hour series, and then I'm like, well, where's the rest of the story? Because it always says next story is going to be about this. So then I think I was able to purchase them. A lot of them were, I think I got them from Kindle, like Amazon Kindle. I think they were either $1 or like free. I think I even got one for free. So there was Uncle Wiggly's Adventure, and then there was, hey kids, can you help me remember the Uncle Wiggly story names? So there's about 30 stories in each book. So it took us 4 or 5 months. I'd read a story each month. Then we got this one for Christmas because I was finished all the others. There's 3 others that had about 30 stories in it. It was Uncle Wiggly's story. Oh, let's see, Uncle Wiggly's Adventures, and Uncle Wiggly's, I think, Travels, and then Uncle Wiggly's Automobile. It might be the automobile might be second, and then the Uncle Wiggly's Storybook was the 4th one we got and read.
That's so fun. So much fun. So anybody else? Oh yes, Little Bear. Okay, I love the Little Bear stories so much. And the Little Bear cartoon that you can still access via YouTube, and I'm not sure where else. That is my favorite. Tell us where else, Ida?
You can get it on Amazon. You can pay for it.
Oh.
There's like a subscription through something on Amazon that you can find the Little Bear, which you recommended to me. So we watched that, and then I found this book at a thrift store, and I was like, oh, sweet. So.
And do you love it?
Yeah, they're cute. I just love that it's a good family, and like the dad is respected, and like it's just sweet story, so it's good.
Who's the author?
Maurice Sendak, Sendak, I think that's how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just found this book and I'm super excited about it. So
I love Little Bear. It is one of my favorites. It's just sweet relationships, good lessons all through the thing. And Maurice Sendak is Where the Wild Things Are. So that's, most of you know from that. But he wrote all the Little Bear stories. And then somebody, Lobel did Frog and Toad. Frog and Toad are really good books too.
Mark Lobel, or I've got a Frog and Toad on my shelf. I can go look it up.
I'll look. It seems like Arnold or something, but I don't know. Arnold. Look at that. Mouse Soup, Different Fables, Frog and Toad. Those are, oh yeah, Lindsay Bunting, good job. Yeah, so those are fun. All of those beginner stories are so good for all of us. Yes, yes. Thank you, Mary. They're so good for all of us. I wish that we saw all of our screens so we could see what everybody's sharing, because we don't always get to see that afterwards. But oh yeah, thank you, Lindsay Watkins. Thornton Burgess stories are in Forgotten Classics.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So what's Nature Study? Month 9, is that what that was, Lindsay? You said NS9. Nature Study, Nature Series.
Looked up all of it by author.
Yeah, it would be Nature Series. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Oh, they're so good, and they're so good for us to read. And then I shared in the chat, and I'll share it out loud as well, just so we don't miss this podcast that I've listened to for quite a while now. I listen to when I'm going to sleep because it's very calming. But this How to Tell Stories to Children. There's a book as well, and I am going to get it. I just need to do it. It's been on my list for so long. But the podcast is so sweet and it really, I need to add it to the Mother's University, because there's so many of the podcasts there that would be appropriate for different months within the Mother's University, but it is very helpful. So this is the picture on the podcast as well as the cover of the book. I know it's kind of blurry. I don't know how to fix that, but how to tell stories to children. And the podcast is so sweet. And there was one I just listened to last night, and it was talking about, hold on, I have to actually find it. And if you have things to share, you can do it while I'm looking. Intuitive storytelling is one of the titles. I loved that. Nurturing your imagination and creativity. Thank you very much, whoever did that. There are two people on that podcast, and it's this lovely German lady. And she moved here from Germany when she was pretty young, and then she lived in New Mexico, and she started a Waldorf school there. And that was what she had for her children. And then after that, she started a nature school. And then this Joseph, he wanted his daughter to be involved in something like that, but couldn't afford it. He offered his services to her to kind of be her partner and helper if his daughter could come to the school. And so that's how they started together. And they do this nature school out of doors. And I love the idea of it. I mean, it's just absolutely right up my alley. But it was something about the connection between you and your child and stories. Why storytelling? I'm not going to be able to find it, but it was attachment. It was attachment theory. And I thought, for everything that we have loved from the Gordon Newfield attachment theory video, this podcast was so wonderful. It wouldn't it show? Oh, well, I don't know how to do things like this. I'm sad. I apologize. You guys just talk amongst yourselves and I'll try to find this. Oh, it's just so good though.
Now I have all these stories I want to go read and this podcast I want to listen to.
I know. Well, it's summertime, right?
Yeah.
And one of the podcasts is stories make chores feel like play. Well, who doesn't need that?
I saw one of the most recent ones. It looks like she hasn't posted any since about November of 2022. Is that right?
Yeah.
So the last one she did was something about family stories. I thought, oh, I want to listen to that one.
Yes. Okay. So it's how storytelling builds attachment and the science behind it. That was so good. So
There's
good.
this one, storytelling is a tool of the heart. That's great.
Yeah, right? Perfect. Absolutely perfect. But this reminder that it can be a natural thing, an intuitive thing. Just start doing it so that you become more comfortable with it. And the easiest people to do that with are if you have little children around, because they are so accepting of any poorly done story that you come up with. They love it all. And so that's, practice, practice, practice. Well, you have somebody. I don't have anybody to practice on.
I remember my mom, like when we were kids, we would sit around doing chores. Like she loved to can and preserve things, and we had, a giant garden and all this stuff. And we would sit around picking beans or snapping beans or whatever, and she'd be telling us just stories about this or that or whatever, and we loved it. And sometimes we'd be like, well, wait, what happened next? And she's like, okay, come on, keep working.
Yeah.
But we loved it, and it was so fun. And we would do the same thing when my mom wasn't there, and it was just us kids. We would tell stories and laugh and just have a fun time. And so I think there's something, even though we hated doing those jobs, we look back on those experiences with fond memories because of the connection that was built there between us as siblings and between with my mom. And anyway, so those sweatshop jobs, that you find for your kids to do, you can do along with them. Those are great. Those are good things to do.
Give them those jobs and then just make sure that you're telling them stories along the way. That's how my husband would do outside jobs with the kids. He would just be, being silly and telling silly stories and just being fun while they're out there working. And they loved to work with dad for that reason, because he knew how to make it fun. And it wasn't, but they got their stuff done. I love that. But I love that that you have those sweet and tender memories with your siblings doing those jobs together while your mom told stories. I think that's great. Oh, it's 11. Oh man. Well, we just got into it. That was so fun. I'm so glad that we shared about those stories. Michelle, thank you for bringing that up, because that was fun to now have a new list of resources, things we can look up. Do it for you. If nothing else, do it for you, because those stories just bring some enjoyment. And I do remember, this is the one I was going to bring up, The Wind in the Willows. The Wind in the Willows. That is one of the ones that is listed on in the children's literature course that you can take for free from Hillsdale College. That course is so good. I know a couple of you have taken that course. Ida, is it you? Are you one of the ones?
Did it too.
You took it too, Michelle?
Uh,
Mary? Yeah, who was going to say? Ida, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I did take the children's lit course and I loved it. I was just trying to like react to Alyssa's comment, and I was doing all kinds of crazy things. Anyways, but yes, I loved that course. It was so good. It was so helpful, and like I just loved the things that it brought out about these stories for kids. And
you need to finish your paper.
Yes, perfect. And yes, Alyssa, absolutely. Those are great resources for kids too. I love that. Yeah, so I loved that The Wind in the Willows, everything they talked about how it was such a great story about friendship and what is required in being a friend, and the kinds of different ways that you can support your friends, your different kinds of friends, or friends in different situations. And I'd never thought about it like that. And I loved learning that. I thought that was great insight. So that's another wonderful story you can do with your kids or for you. Okay, well,
thank you so much. I'm always so happy when I get on here, because you all have so many great things and I just love it, and it just inspires me. And now I'm so excited to read all these books and go to the podcasts and look all this stuff up. So thank you so much. I love it.
Well, I feel the same way. These ladies here, all of you included, Michelle, are sharing so many good things. It's wonderful. And Alyssa, I hope you've got something good out of today as well. I hope it was a good experience for you. We loved having you here with us. Hi, everybody. Whoa, you guys look different from the last time I saw you. It looks like you're all clean. Are you all clean? That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. It was fun. So go off and have a great week. Read lots of good things. Watch a couple good movies. We'll continue to share. Are you guys all clean?
You took
And
a bath?
you have a new baby at your house.
We
Oh,
today. Yep.
you say again. What did you do?
We watch a movie.
We
Oh,
only
awesome.
watch movies on Friday nights. We can watch one movie every week. So they're very excited.
That's super exciting. Good mama. That's good. That's awesome.
And we
Okay.
watch Pokemon.
Oh,
Not true.
Thank you guys so much. I'm still working through Catch the Vision, so I feel like I'm a little behind, but I'm very inspired by all of you.
no, you're wonderful. That's good. We're all doing it over and over again. We just cannot get all of that inside of us. We need to keep doing it over and over again. So that's so fun. Yeah, you're not behind. Thank you for saying that, Lindsay Watkins. Not at all. You're absolutely part of us now, Alyssa. So feel free to join us anytime. We'd love to have you. All right, everybody, have fun. Share with me next Friday what you read, what you did.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everybody.